Have you ever felt how anger and frustration can sneak into your mind, unexpectedly taking hold of you? They are like a raging river, sweeping away everything in their path: calm, clarity of thought, and inner peace. And while the external world may be ruthless, true strength lies not in changing the world, but in changing our reaction to it. True peace and inner strength can only be gained through self-control and discipline of the mind. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not over external events." But why is it so hard for us to maintain calm when we are under the influence of stress or dissatisfaction? The secret lies in our ability to control what we feel and how we respond to challenges. Today, I'm going to share with you 7 Stoic rules that will not only help destroy anger and frustration, but also teach you how to control your emotions, turning them into a source of strength and wisdom. Stoicism is not just a philosophy. It's a practical tool to manage your emotions and prevent negative circumstances from distracting you from your inner peace. As Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." If you're ready to change your approach to difficult situations and develop inner calm, this video is for you. We'll start with the first rule, which will help you see situations not as problems, but as opportunities for growth. Point 1. Accept pain as part of life. Stoicism taught us that pain is not something to avoid. On the contrary, it's an essential part of our development. Instead of fearing pain, we should embrace it as an inseparable part of our journey to personal growth. Pain can be physical, emotional, or mental, and it always brings lessons that we can learn if we are ready for them. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoics, wrote in his Meditations, "What stands in your way becomes your way." This means that every obstacle, every pain, is an opportunity for growth. It is important to understand that pain does not define us if we know how to work with it. If we immediately try to avoid pain, we miss the chance for healing or development. Practically, this means that when you face difficulties, you should not deny them or try to escape from them quickly. Instead, learn to observe your emotions, accept them without panic, and not let them break your inner balance. If you are in pain from disappointment or failure, realize that this is part of the path that leads to your greatest achievements. Every moment of pain is a challenge, but also an opportunity to strengthen your spirit. To practice this rule, try the following methods. Mindfulness of pain. When you feel pain or stress, stop and pay attention to it. Instead of pushing away these emotions, accept them. Ask yourself what exactly is causing this pain and how you can use this moment for self-development. Minimize reactions. The first reaction to pain is often an emotional outburst or the desire to escape. Stoics taught us to pause before reacting. Instead of diving into an emotional storm, give yourself a few minutes to calm down and look at the situation from a new perspective. Reflection on pain. Every pain has its lesson. After going through an emotionally difficult moment, take time to think about why it happened and what conclusions you can draw from it. This helps to understand that pain is not a punishment, but a process of self-improvement. This rule does not mean that we should seek pain or rejoice in it. It's about accepting it as part of our life and using it to achieve inner peace. In the end, it's through pain that we become stronger, wiser, and more ready for future challenges. Point 2. Control your emotions, not events. Emotions are powerful forces that can determine our reactions and impact our lives. They can lift us to the top or drop us into a deep abyss. But one of the main lessons of Stoicism is that we do not have power over external events, but we always have control over how we react to them. Only we decide how to perceive a situation and what to feel. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This means that regardless of what is happening around you, your inner reaction will determine whether you accept the situation or let it destroy your peace. Stoicism teaches us that it's important not to react to external triggers, but to develop inner control. In our world, we often encounter people who irritate us, problems at work, or unpredictable situations that make us feel stressed. How we react to these moments largely determines the quality of our lives. If we allow ourselves to be fully consumed by emotions, we lose control and give these emotions power over us. Here are a few ways to control your emotions, not events. Pause before reacting. When something happens, give yourself a few seconds to calm down. Don't rush to respond emotionally. Instead, stop and give yourself time to reflect on how you want to react. This is the first step in controlling your emotions. Understanding emotions. Observe your emotions. If you feel anger or disappointment, ask yourself, why am I feeling this? Sometimes we may feel anger because we expect certain behavior from others. Determine whether your feeling arises from an objective situation or your own perceptions and expectations. Reframing changeability. One important Stoic principle is to accept that many things are beyond our control. However, we can change how we view these events. Instead of resenting difficulties or failures, we can see them as opportunities for self-development. For example, instead of getting angry about being late for work, think, what can I do to avoid this next time? This way, you control your reaction, not the event itself. Separate facts from interpretation. Stoics emphasize that events are just facts, and it is what we attach to them through our thoughts and beliefs that matters. If someone shouted at you, the fact is that this person did it. Your reaction is your interpretation of the situation, which may be emotional or alternatively calm and measured. The choice is always yours. Practice inner peace. To gain control over your emotions, it's important to build habits that maintain inner peace. These can include breathing exercises, meditation, or simply moments of silence where you focus on your breathing to restore balance and regain control over your mind. Controlling your emotions is the key to inner strength. When we learn not to react to everything around us, but instead develop the ability to respond calmly, even to the most difficult situations, we become free. We are not slaves to our emotions. We control them. And in this freedom grows true inner peace. Point 3. Learn to say no. One of the most powerful rules of Stoicism is the ability to refuse. Refusal is not only an act of defending your boundaries, but a necessity for maintaining your inner strength and clarity in a world that constantly tries to distract our attention and energy. The ability to say no is key in the fight for inner peace and independence. Without this ability, we inevitably lose control over our time, emotions, and even our identity. As Seneca wrote, "He who cannot say no is not master of himself." This means that if you cannot refuse others, you are actually allowing them to control your energy and resources, which ultimately deprives you of freedom and inner peace. Stoicism does not advocate heartlessness or indifference to others, but it teaches us how to prioritize ourselves in matters of emotional tranquility. Saying no is not about refusing others without thought, but about having the courage to refuse when it violates your internal principles, boundaries, or happiness. The ability to say no is an expression of self-respect, showing that you value your emotions and time more than external demands. Here's how you can practice this rule. Identify your boundaries. The key to saying no is understanding your personal boundaries. To say no confidently, you need to know what is important to you and what your needs are. Sit down and think, what things drain your energy and bring no joy? These could be toxic relationships, unnecessary obligations, or even social pressure. When you understand what is important to you, it will be much easier to refuse things that don't align with your inner harmony. Refusal without explanation. Stoics taught that refusal does not require obligatory explanations or apologies. You are not obligated to justify your decisions. Just say no and be at peace with it. Every time you add an explanation, you start to justify yourself, which gives others more power over your decisions. Stoics believed that your worth is not determined by how others react to you. Start with small refusals. If you're used to always saying yes, start with small steps. Refuse insignificant requests that take your time or energy and gradually move on to more important decisions. This may be refusing to participate in overly demanding projects or even negative relationships. Over time, it will become easier. Don't be afraid to be unpopular. Stoics understood that achieving inner peace often requires becoming unpopular among others. Your value does not depend on how many people agree with your decisions. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is not to worry about how it will affect others. Remember, true peace comes from living according to your own beliefs. Practice self-respect. To truly learn to say no, you must develop your self-respect. Respecting yourself means being able to defend your boundaries and say no when necessary. This is also an act of self-love, recognizing that your well-being matters. Remember, self-respect is not selfishness. It is necessary for your emotional health. The ability to say no helps maintain your inner balance and protect your energy from people and situations that try to drain it. In a world that constantly asks for more and more, it is essential to be able to say no to avoid losing your own peace and direction. Point 4. Train your mind. We often believe that our emotions determine our reactions, but Stoicism teaches us that this is not the case. We are not our emotions, and not all of our thoughts are true. Stoics taught that the mind is our most powerful tool, and if we learn to control it, we will gain true strength. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You are not what you think, but how you relate to your thoughts." By immersing ourselves in our emotions without control, we allow them to define our behavior and our perception of the world. Therefore, it is important to learn to observe our thoughts without letting them control us. Stoics believed that our mind is like a garden, and if we do not carefully watch over it, weeds will grow. To grow a healthy garden, we must constantly care for it, remove harmful thoughts, and nurture healthy ones. Here are some ways to train your mind so that you are not imprisoned by it. Observing your thoughts. The first step is the ability to observe your thoughts without succumbing to them. When you experience negative or destructive thoughts, try simply to notice them without reacting emotionally. For example, when you start feeling anger, pause and ask yourself, is this thought true? And what is the benefit of thinking this way? This will help you maintain calm and not be swayed by every thought. Questioning your thoughts. After you've identified the thought, ask yourself questions to test its reality. Is it based on fact, or is it just an interpretation? For example, if you feel someone does not respect you, ask, is there specific evidence that they don't respect me? Maybe it's just your perception of the situation. Often our thoughts are overly emotional, and by approaching them this way, we realize they often have no real basis. Switching to rational thinking. Stoics believed that our strength lies in our ability to turn chaotic emotions into rational decisions. This means that instead of acting impulsively when you feel strong anger or fear, you should give yourself time to cool down and look at the situation from a logical perspective. Remember, the mind often deceives us during intense emotions, and rational thinking can help us see the truth. Practicing meditation and mindfulness. Meditation helps create distance between you and your thoughts. Stoicism does not encourage escaping from emotions, but teaches us to observe them without emotional reactions. Meditation and breathing exercises can help you become more mindful of your thoughts and emotions, allowing you to respond to situations with more calm and clarity. Focusing on positive thoughts. A key aspect of Stoicism is shifting focus to positive, constructive thoughts. Instead of focusing on what is going wrong, direct your attention to opportunities for improvement or lessons that you can learn from each situation. This will help you stay on the right path without being consumed by negativity. By training your mind, you become stronger and more capable of controlling your emotions. Stoicism teaches us that our inner strength lies in the ability to control how we perceive the world around us. When we get used to treating our thoughts as transient phenomena that can be observed and evaluated rather than as absolute reality, we gain real control over our inner state. Point 5. Accept what cannot be changed. Life constantly throws challenges at us that we cannot change. It might be failure, betrayal, or difficult circumstances over which we have no control. Stoicism teaches us that true strength lies not in fighting those events, but in accepting them and maintaining peace within ourselves. Epictetus, the great Stoic, once said, "Do not seek for events to happen as you wish, but wish for them to happen as they do." These words remind us that there are situations in life we simply cannot influence. What we can control, however, is how we respond. How we react to loss, disappointment, or injustice determines our peace of mind. Accepting what cannot be changed doesn't mean passively accepting all difficulties or stopping our efforts for a better future. Rather, it means to stop wasting energy on what is beyond our control and focus on what we can change, our reactions and attitudes. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Life is not what we wish it to be, but what we accept." Here are some practical steps for accepting what cannot be changed. Distinguish between the controllable and uncontrollable. The first step is to recognize what you can and cannot change. Ask yourself, is this situation in my control? If not, let it go. If yes, focus on the actions you can take. For example, in the case of illness, we cannot control the illness itself, but we can control how we respond and follow through with treatment. Let go of the past. The Stoics understood that dwelling on past mistakes or regrets wastes energy. Our strength lies in letting go of past errors and victories and living in the present. If you find yourself obsessing over past events, ask yourself, what can I do now to prevent this from affecting my present? Accept the unchangeable. Stoicism teaches us to accept the inevitable, not with indifference, but with composure and peace. If someone has hurt or betrayed you, instead of focusing on revenge or resentment, learn to accept what happened and move forward. Focus on the present moment. Rather than dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, focus on what you can do now. Your attitude toward events is what you have control over. If you're facing challenges, ask yourself, what can I do now to improve the situation? This helps maintain a proactive mindset, even when circumstances are beyond your control. Learn from every moment. Accepting what cannot be changed doesn't mean giving up. The Stoics believed every situation, even a negative one, carries a lesson. Instead of lamenting over what happened, ask, what can I learn from this experience? By learning from the past, we can grow stronger and wiser. Accepting what cannot be changed brings inner freedom. We stop being slaves to circumstances and become masters of our emotions and reactions. It is through such acceptance that we can find peace, even in the most turbulent situations. Point 6. Practice self-discipline. Self-discipline is the foundation for achieving inner peace and controlling our emotions. Stoicism teaches us that only through control over our actions and thoughts can we achieve true freedom. Without self-discipline, we become dependent on circumstances, external factors, and fleeting emotions. However, the Stoics understood that true strength comes when we control our minds and actions, regardless of what is happening around us. As Seneca wrote, "No one is free who is not master of himself." This means that self-discipline is not about limiting freedom, but rather about achieving it. When you control your emotions, habits, and reactions, you stop being a slave to external circumstances. You gain the ability to act according to your values and principles, rather than giving in to temporary desires or external pressures. Here are a few ways to practice self-discipline to strengthen your inner peace. Plan your day. Self-discipline starts with a conscious approach to each day. The Stoics believed it was important to have a clear plan and stick to it. Create a list of important tasks for the day and try not to deviate from it, even if temptations or distractions arise. Every day is an opportunity to become better, and that requires a disciplined approach. Control your emotions. Through self-observation, self-discipline is not only about physical actions, but also about controlling your emotions. When you feel strong emotions, anger, stress, or frustration, stop for a moment and give yourself the chance to assess how you feel. Are these emotions constructive? Will they help you achieve your goals? If not, let them go and focus on what really matters. This helps avoid impulsive decisions and maintain calm, even in stressful situations. Be consistent in small things. A large part of self-discipline involves sticking to principles in everyday life. Start with small tasks that require discipline, such as waking up early, keeping your affairs in order, or regularly exercising. Every small step strengthens your self-discipline and brings you closer to greater achievements. Practice temperance. Temperance is an important aspect of Stoicism. It means the ability to say no to immediate desires for the sake of long-term goals. For example, instead of following impulse and eating unhealthy food or skipping a workout, prioritize your goal. Temperance in all areas of life allows you to conserve energy and direct it toward what truly matters. Develop inner dialogue. Stoics practiced inner dialogue to stay in harmony with themselves. This means it's important to have constructive conversations with yourself, especially when facing challenges. Instead of giving in to doubts or self-blame, learn to tell yourself, "This challenge is an opportunity for growth. I can overcome it." This approach strengthens your determination and discipline. Minimize external distractions. Self-discipline also involves controlling external distractions that can scatter your focus. If you want to work on something important, turn off your phone, block social media, and create an environment conducive to concentration. This allows you to maintain discipline with your time and energy. Self-discipline is a process that requires practice and patience. The more you practice discipline, the easier it becomes to maintain calm in any situation. The Stoics understood that it is through inner discipline that we can keep our peace, control our emotions, and move forward despite external challenges. Every step toward self-discipline is a step toward inner freedom and true peace. Point 7. Remember, true strength lies in silence. In the modern world, we are accustomed to noise and the constant flow of information. Everyone around us is trying to capture our attention, talk more, do more, and often this demands constant reaction from us. But Stoicism teaches us that true strength does not lie in loud words or emotional reactions. True strength is in silence. This is not passivity, it is wisdom and discipline. Silence allows us to maintain calm and clarity, even when chaos surrounds us. As Marcus Aurelius said, "True greatness lies not in conquering others, but in conquering yourself." The ability to maintain inner silence and calm is one of the most powerful Stoic skills. It means that even when an emotional storm rages around you, you are able to remain unshaken. This does not mean avoiding problems, but being able to look at them with inner clarity without surrendering to emotions. Here are a few ways to practice the power of silence in life. Don't let reactions control you. The first step is realizing that your reaction to events is your choice. When you encounter challenges or criticism, calmly observe your reaction before responding. Often we are inclined to react impulsively, but Stoics taught us that pausing before reacting helps us keep control of the situation. Silence as strength. When people try to make you explain yourself or justify your position, don't rush to respond. Instead, leave a pause, allowing the situation to unfold without your active involvement. This creates an impression of confidence, and often it allows others to understand that they cannot force you to change your point of view. Mindfulness and observation. Use moments of silence to observe your thoughts. This will help you better understand what is happening in your mind and give you the opportunity to consciously choose how to respond. You don't have to answer every impulse or thought that comes into your head. Learn to pause and observe what truly matters. Train patience through silence. One way to train the power of silence is to practice patience. Standing firm in the face of temptation to speak out or react is also a form of inner strength. Let others express their thoughts, and you stay calm, focusing on what matters most to you. Use silence for reflection. Often we crave immediate answers or solutions, but Stoicism teaches that silence gives us space for reflection and understanding. In moments of difficulties or challenges, give yourself time to reflect before making a decision. Silence is not an absence of action. It is an action aimed at maintaining inner peace. Silence allows you to notice what others miss in their reactions, gives time for maturity and consideration. When you don't respond to external triggers but maintain your silence, you become unshakable and preserve your calm in any situation. That is where true strength lies. Today, we've explored 7 Stoic principles that help eliminate anger and frustration and lead to true inner peace. Each of these principles is a step toward taking control of your emotions, mind, and reactions, breaking free from being a slave to external circumstances. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control everything that happens around us, but we always have the power to decide how we respond to it. True strength is not in avoiding difficulties, but in facing them with wisdom and calm. The ability to say no, accepting pain as part of life, controlling your emotions, and practicing self-discipline. These tools not only help maintain inner balance, but also develop resilience that is independent of external factors. Silence as a source of strength is the final vital element in this process. When we refuse to let emotions or external triggers affect our peace, we become truly free. And while the path to inner peace is not always easy, it is these Stoic principles that help us move forward with clarity and strength. Thank you for spending this time with me, and remember, true peace doesn't come from a life without challenges, but from the ability to maintain balance within, regardless of everything that happens around you. If you're ready for change, start implementing these principles in your life, and you'll see how your relationship with the world and with yourself will improve. Don't forget to subscribe to receive more valuable Stoic lessons that will help you build inner strength. Your peace is your strength.